Okay, so it is the next day after the whole Sykkuno Google Doc came out, and this has been a pretty big one, right? Obviously, it's got over 26 million views, and a lot of people have been kind of commenting on it and making their own kind of opinions on it, which, again, I do want to make a separate video going into a couple of clips that some people have been bringing up. But today I wanted to talk about some of the people that have been coming out with their own kind of stories or their own kind of interactions, if any interactions, because it tends to kind of vary, it seems like, in terms of Sykkuno. Now, obviously, if you guys don't know what is going on, you guys can go back and watch my last video where essentially we go through everything to do with Sykkuno, and also there's another video talking about a Bow tweet, which obviously foreshadowed a lot of this stuff going on. But essentially, yeah, he was kind of caught cheating on his girlfriend, as well as, you know, doing it with multiple you know, women at the same time, as well as them being smaller creators. That seems to be the kind of people that he prefers to kind of talk to, right? And well, obviously this Google Doc came out, and yeah, we went through it and it blew up pretty massively. But now, of course, you know, they've been encouraging people who have had interactions with him, who have maybe faced similar kind of things towards themselves, to kind of come out and speak about it, right? Now, as I said, it varies. Some people have had like one message, and you know, people are like, oh god, that's why he messaged me. And some people have actually had more than one message and have had a full conversation, you know, before. It seems to be, you know, kind of showing that there is a little bit of a pattern here. Obviously, you got Powder here saying, ladies, you're not special. We're all special. Essentially throwing up a DM, I'm pretty sure, with her back in 2023. Obviously, they had a 3-hour call together. And she said, don't worry, we just played a game. Don't get any funny ideas. So yeah, and we all know that essentially the type of person that Sykkuno would kind of message or be interested in messaging would be either A, VTubers, which obviously, you know, is pretty apparent, as, you know, the people that put out the Google Docs are VTubers, as well as people who post themselves on the internet, you know, as in like pictures of their like body and whatever, not necessarily you know, OF girls or anything. Now there was a few, but not all of them, right? You know, I don't know if you know what I mean. There's a lot of people on Twitter who like kind of post themselves, whether it's like a cosplay, whether it's like gym photos or something like that. They tend to do that. It seems to be like a kind of, I guess, like a genre over on Twitter. So he seems to be going, you know, for people like that, as well as VTubers who do those kind of posts as well. You know, that was also a big one, as well as, you know, there's obviously a couple of outliers as well in terms of who he was talking to. And the one big thing being that usually they were smaller than him. I mean, he is a big creator in general, so most people are going to be smaller creators. But again, usually like under around like 50k or so is the general, you know, kind of consensus that he seems to be talking about. And obviously here is one of them being Nami, who is a yeah, Comfy Fox VTuber who has 21k. And obviously they say, this is just on Twitter, by the way. I don't know what they have on other platforms, but they say, oh my god, thank god I turned him down. Sykkuno reached out to me after seeing me in a VR chat one day and always messaged out of nowhere or tried to meet up with me at conventions. He bought me Steam games, he showed up in my city for a league tournament, invited me out to a group event, paid for me to play and all my drinks. And we plan to go back out. And of course, yeah, this is, by the way, this is a very common thing that we see. He seems to be very interested in meeting up, very interested in knowing where, you know, people live and, you know, how he can meet up with them and things like that. That seems to be a very, very common thing throughout all of these stories, including the one in the Google Doc, right? So he Ubered us to my apartment to store all the prizes we'd won. Dumb on my part, but I've been drinking. We ended up going to a bar with a vintage arcade games to play more. And as a joke, I told him if I got a high score, he'd pay my rent. He knew I was struggling. After some more drinks, we had to go back to my apartment to pick up the prizes. He wanted to stay and play games or watch a show with me. I didn't feel comfortable and politely thanked him for the night. Sykkuno grabbed me by the waist and pulled me in against his body and asked in a flirty tone, so do you want something? At this point, I was really nervous, but I just told him no, sorry, but thank you for the fun and to have a good night. I never knew he had a girlfriend, nor was I interested. I can't imagine if I had fallen for his Playboy tricks. He has always wanted to meet up at events over the few years that I've known him, but never with my friends. He wanted to meet alone. This is scary. My friends thought it was weird too. Thank God I had such good friends making sure I was being safe. I love you guys. So yeah, they essentially claim here. Now, of course, there isn't too much proof. I think there's a couple of I get what you call it, messages and stuff. Maybe that could kind of prove it a bit, but essentially they say that Sykkuno met up with them at a convention. Obviously, it was a little bit flirty and a bit touchy. And she turned him down, and of course, yeah, she probably dodged a bullet by that, because of course, if she said yes, I don't even know where, she's probably been in a similar situation as Himemal and all of the other people that have been kind of, affected by him, right? But obviously, here's some of the screenshots that they put up here saying, show me next time, you looked really nice when we got to hang out, and you smelled nice too, I remember. Yep, speaking of, I'm just going to take a little nap. So good luck with your tournament, so thanks, hope you have a good sleep. Oh yeah, the TFT tournament is in Seattle, by the way. I'm kind of far from the main city, though. Oh, so you're here? Crazy timing, haha. Were you, where were you for the weekend shenanigans? And obviously he said, it's like Southern. I think I'm going to a round 1 tonight. Said, fun. I didn't even know there were any here. Love round 1. Just woke up again. Oh, you're probably near Tacoma, huh? So obviously that's them talking about it, saying, I think I'm close to the airport. OMG, come to round 1. I'm going like right now. OMG, right now? Yeah, I'm Ubering there from my hotel in like 10 minutes. There's a ton of TFT players and people from Riot Games, so it's a big gathering. I'm gonna win a plushie to bring home. Their plushies are so cute. Let me see how much an Uber is. Hold on, just run out of bed. Said, okay, some people plan on drinking too. I probably will a little. That sounds fun. Let me see if I can make myself look decent, and I'll decide. I just got up. I said, yeah, take your time. And obviously said, yeah, just the weekend. But I think everyone's plans on being out late tonight. I said, awesome. Yeah, it depends on how many Ubers or drinks, honestly. Little tight on cash right now, so I haven't been out for the weekend. Said, I can pay for your drinks and Uber, don't worry. Well, I don't know if I can get it for you when you come here. But he said, oh, no, you don't need to do that. It's okay. I want some plushies. So, yeah, obviously, that is the conversation that they had in regards to that, kind of backing up what they were saying, as well as some more screenshots there of him following her and all of this kind of stuff too. Saying, I'm glad I didn't get tricked into just being another Eddie Hole as a goal. I'm not saying he's a murderer, y'all. I'm just saying I wasn't a part of his serial cheating, which is disgusting, by the way. There was definitely a whack power dynamic there, which if he didn't take no for it as an answer, who would have believed me? I'm putting this out there because of the girls who went through who went further with him, getting a ton of hate. He is a scumbag for this stuff, and they're not the only ones. This wasn't just with 1 or 2 girls. I'm posting for the ones too afraid to speak out. And yeah, a lot of people think that it's only the girls involved in the Google Doc here, being Hemomal and Elfilea. It's not the case. Obviously, people like Nami, right, have had their own interactions with him, which have also been affected by him, and obviously, the weird kind of behavior, right? And again, a lot of these people as well, to different degrees, have interacted with him as well. Some people just say, oh, that's why he followed me back in 2024. Obviously, he followed her. So again, it's really not that, huge of a thing, but it does show you the kind of people he was going after, because if you look at their posts, they have the same posts a lot of these other people do, obviously, in like gym kind of clothing and taking pictures of themselves. You can see here, right? They weren't lying. Sykkuno follows a lot of women, and you can see just the kind of pictures that he likes there, right? But again, it's pretty crazy saying, G High said he has good taste, which is crazy. And then obviously you keep on going. You're saying, I met Sykkuno at my first TwitchCon in 2022. He was on a party bus and asked me if I knew what a happy ending was, and then asked for my number. I gave him the number to a Domino's instead. I was so drunk that whole trip too. I forgot all about it, but I still remember his face. Ooh. And you got Aventio saying, no shot you were on that bus. He said, that bus was a fever trip. So much happened, and the bus driver was awesome AF. So yeah, obviously it says, I remember being on a party bus with him, and he only talked to the VTubers. Which again, I don't know how true a lot of this stuff is. Obviously, some of these people might potentially, I'm not saying that this person in particular, but you got to be aware that some people might make up stories as well to kind of, I guess, further bring down Sykkuno for whatever reason. Now, I do believe, Dusty here, because of course they are a person with a reputation, right? They got 2,000 followers over on Twitter. So again, it seems like some people are smaller, and that's why it's become such a hard problem as well, because it is smaller creators, and many people are not within these kind of certain circles to find out that this stuff was going on in the first place, which obviously we mentioned in the last video. But also, people tend to, struggle to trust smaller creators as well, because obviously, a lot of small creators like to, they like to jump on the big thing. They like to kind of get on top of this kind of situation, whatever, just because they want that little bit of a boost. Again, not saying it's any of these people, by the way, but that's why people find it harder to trust them, because they feel like that could happen. But again, it's not happening. I feel like it isn't happening, and I believe them in the fact that they are truthful. So again, just to kind of mention that as to why maybe some people might be speculative. Of course, more people as well. So this person called Church, I think they make some like art stuff. Say, oh, okay, since we are all talking, obviously this is actual like DMs here saying, did you give me the thingy you gave me? It's so cute. Said, yes, I did. I tried to Google your favorite Pokemon. I hope you have a great day in Harajuku. It was so nice to get to meet you. Said, oh, thanks. Do you live in Japan? Said, yeah, I live a little bit further north near Ikebukuro. Saying, I have no idea where that is. Is it near Roppongi? They say, you seem really cool. It'd be nice to hang out a little. So yeah, obviously, again, this is another case of, the same pattern which is going on of, do you live in Japan? Do you live here? Do you live there? Yeah, I live in Ikebukuro. They said, is it near Roppongi? And obviously wanting to meet up and wanting to know where they live. And it's just like the same thing again, over and over again. You can see there's a big pattern, right? And that's what makes me think that, a lot of these are, 100% real, because, of course, it seems to be a pattern of behavior. It's the same thing. He wants to meet up with them. He wants to, know where they are and stuff like that, which, of course, tends to be the case, right? Say, replies were so funny until the insults ruined it. Now you've lost all privileges. Sorry. Obviously, yeah, saying, yeah, okay, I'll check out more when I have some time. Thank you. Said she makes music. So it seems like they have been kind of talking a little bit more as well. It said, that is just one screenshot. Here are two more, to be fair. I also thought, or maybe hoped that he was just friendly, but my boyfriend definitely wasn't a fan of his comments. Either way, I'm not trying to claim anything other than show, yes, he was DMing small creators, right? And that is the case for a lot of these people, right? A lot of people aren't exactly trying to say that, hey, he did exactly the same as he did to those two people in the Google Doc to me. People are just showing that his interactions with smaller creators, right? Because it seems like he's done it a lot. He's been in a lot of DMs. We've gone through a lot so far, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So again, there's 8 people so far, and that's just the people that I have like pulled up on my screen, right? There was another screenshot which I think it's been deleted or something. I don't know why it's been deleted. Maybe they were facing harassment. Maybe it was wrong. I don't know. But obviously them claiming that they were like 17 or something, which of course was a bit of an issue, and that's what some people were concerned about, was the age of some people that he was talking to. Which again, obviously, if I had that post up, then we could talk about that a bit further. But again, I don't have that. But from a lot of these people, they do seem to be of age, right? But he just seems to be DMing a lot of smaller creators, right? And I said, I don't know how they haven't been flagged for being a bot, right? I said, bro, he really was in everyone's DMs for real. Lumfao, he tried it with me. Obviously, yeah, literally just kind of sliding in there over on Instagram. Of course, there's nothing wrong with sliding in on a DM, right? But again, it just goes to show the type of people that he likes to interact with, and they kind of just backs up the Google Doc more because he likes to interact with those kind of people. Obviously, yeah, I put down here, I'm surprised he hasn't been flagged as a bot with the amount of DMs he'd be sending, which again, it is absolutely crazy. And then, of course, as well, some people claiming as well, this person, Lena, again, I don't know how big they are, if they've got 8,000 followers. They're followed by the actual, the doc person here saying, I dated him from 2015 to 2019. I warned a few people about him at the time, but most people didn't believe me and got harassed for it. Does anyone know how I can get into contact with his girlfriend? If she'll speak with me, I really want to talk to her. I feel bad that so many people got hurt. And obviously, they said, are you the girl that exposed him back in 2019? That a YouTuber made a video. Yes, that was me, and people were not happy with me, lol. Said, I hope you're doing so much better now. I'm so sorry. It's been a long time for me, so I've healed. I just hope that everyone else, especially his girlfriend, is okay. So yeah, obviously, that person as well, claiming that they were in a relationship with him. Again, I don't know how true that is, but obviously that is what they say there. They didn't actually, say if anything was that bad or anything. I don't know. They said they warned a few people about him, so obviously something must have gone on. But I don't know to what extent, right? And finally, this was quite funny from another VTuber, I think, Red. Are they a VTuber? Yeah, I think debuting April 30th. Saying, bro asked me to play Fortnite out of the blue and unfollowed me when I ignored him. So bro could get in a Fortnite squad with a VTuber, so ended up unfollowing them, which I thought was quite funny. But yeah, I mean, that is essentially, some of the people that have been coming out and talking about their own experiences with Sykkuno. And obviously, as I said, you can tell by the, all of the experiences we went through, it's very, very varying. It can be from, just being followed by him to actually having a full-on conversation and him actually wanting to find out, where they are and how to meet up with them and stuff like that. Again, it is very, very varied. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, obviously we'll go through a different clip in a future video. I'll probably release it later on today, essentially talking about a couple of clips that people have been talking about in terms of Hemomal and her reaction in the actual voice call itself, because some people have been talking about the fact that, oh, she was saying that she could still DM, he could still DM her and things like that, which of course is a little bit weird, but I do want to go into that in full context and just kind of, go through that and talk about it in a different video. But yeah, that's what I got for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameStop to use my code Kaza, get 10% off. Again, they got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.